Welcome to Wired Up Retro, episode 46. Today I've got an episode about a new Atari 5200 controller that's got not just the digital capability, but it's kind of for some of the analog games, or at least on the surface it is. We're going to go into this a little bit and just discuss, what games this controller works well for. This is made by Maker Matrix. This Atari 5200 controller was originally designed by Scott Baker, and he used a 3D printed controller casing with the word Atari 5200 on it. That's the one I have here, the original casing. But now there's this latest revision that's got 5200 printed in place of Atari 5200. So they took the Atari out of it, I think probably for copyright reasons or whatever. But these are the ones you're going to find currently being sold by Herb Schaltiger and Jared Smith of Maker Matrix. And I put a link in the description, so definitely be sure to check out their product. Now, this controller actually reminds me of a couple of different controllers that I have in my collection, one of which is a PlayStation 1 controller that was made by ASCII, A-S-C-I-I. So the ASCII controller has a similar shape, form, and size to this new 5200 controller. The Maker Matrix controller has actually same thickness almost, and similar look. Although this is a D-pad, and I always enjoyed this playing, let's say, Raiden Project back in the day, and games like Midway Presents Arcade's Greatest Hits, the Atari Collection 1. Definitely these digital games work great with a D-pad. But this controller doesn't have a directional pad. It's basically got a thumbstick that's got analog properties. So we're going to be going a little bit into the analog properties of the Maker Matrix controller. Is this going to work for all 5200 games, or is it going to be primarily used for the digital games and maybe some of the analog only games? We're going to find out. So, oh yeah, there's another controller. It's actually the Oh Yeah controller, and a very similar controller. In fact, the thumbstick pad is very, very similar to the one that Maker Matrix uses. It's kind of got a very extra large thumbstick pad for your thumb. So anyway, the Ouya controller, it's got a little bit more of a shape form on the back. This is really, really flat. And on the surface, you might think to yourself, it looks a bit flat. Maybe it wouldn't be comfortable. But you know what? In the hands, as I'm playing the games, I'm not noticing discomfort in any way. So, just like the Ouya controller, feels all right in the hands. Definitely, it's an okay controller shape. I would say it could be improved upon in the future. As of right now, we're going to be, I think, quite satisfied with it. And just like we were with the ASCII controller back in the PS1 days. Or if you want to go as far back as the NES days, the NES Max, made by Nintendo. It's kind of a similar look, although a bit smaller than the Maker Matrix controller. But yeah, it's got all buttons that you're going to need to play your 5200 games, start, reset, and pause. And then, of course, the whole numeric keypad. And this is your main fire button and the secondary fire button right here. And this is actually going to allow you to play analog games. Now, a lot of the 5200 games are not going to put analog into use, like Popeye, for instance. Just a plain old digital controls game. You press up, he goes up, press down, down, left, right, and then fire button to do the action. But there are some 5200 games, let's say Missile Command, for instance, where you want subtle movements of the stick to represent changing the position of your cursor all over the screen in different areas. A recentering type stick like this probably isn't going to be the best kind of controller to use for a game like Missile Command. So I'm just letting you know, yes, it has analog on board. No, it's not going to work great for some of these analog games. There might be a couple exceptions, and I'll touch on that here in a couple of minutes. So, all right, let me show you a little bit of what I learned about the controller and show you some up-close footage. All right, so here it is. Feels interesting. It's definitely got that flat surface on both front and back. It's got the screws. Each of these has a very clicky feel, which I like. These buttons are placed right here, and then we've got apparently start and pause and reset. I believe that's correct. And then of course the analog stick is on the controller. Atari symbol. It's obviously a 3D print job. Got on the back 15-pin connector, which this will plug into, like so. Definitely could pop out. So another way to do this might be to add a monoprice 15-pin cable. This actually has these little screw-in things right there on both sides. This male side goes into that, the female. Then you can screw it in. Looks like it fits well. You don't have to worry about it then popping out ever. And I do know from experience this will fit into your 5200. I wouldn't say it's a real tight fit, but it does fit in your 5200 if you want to forgo the use of this. So yeah, it depends on what you want. This is a pretty cheap cable. I got it through Monoprice. I think it was under $5 shipped. Maybe it was $7, but it was not much. And I got it a couple months ago. Yeah, so very nice little controller. And I love the grippiness of this thumbstick. It's very nice. So I'll have to figure out which is the primary button and which is secondary. I'll have to get that figured out. I also wanted to take it apart and show that off to you. I've got all the screws removed, so let's go ahead and pop this open. I'm going to pop it open so that this side is up and this side is down, because you don't want all these buttons falling out into a million pieces. All right. So it looks like, yeah, Scott Baker made a really nice board. It looks like it's very efficiently made, compactly made. It's wonderful. Cool. All right. So let's put her back together and we'll play some games. All right, let's give Popeye a try. Got my Maker Matrix controller with the Monoprice cable plugged in. Let's press the start button and see how we can do. Now, I'm sure you probably already know this, but Popeye is really a game about precision control. Get on that fire button just at the right moment and you'll actually do just fine. I'm sure you already knew that. Everybody knows that about Popeye. Oh, no. Avoid. See if we can get him back this way. Oh, that's not gonna work. Close. Come on over, Beludo. Yeah. All right, on to our next game. Now on Star Wars the Arcade game, this controller does allow you to put the cursor in various places. Is it accurate? You know, using a thumb to do that and having a recentering stick, I don't think so. And you know, it's not recentering right to the center either. That might be my 5200 needing a little adjustment on its potentiometer, but I am not sure about that. Or maybe the controller can be adjusted. I'm not sure about that either, but I think if I adjusted the 5200 potentiometer, I'm sure I could get it right there. But then the real question is, would all my other controllers now be different? I don't know. But if you're trying to play this game, it's not going to be exactly accurate. I would say this is not the right controller for this game. I would use the original 5200 controller to play Star Wars the arcade game. Now let's try a different one. All right, now Gorf on the 5200 is another one of those analog only games where you have one-to-one motion with how you move this analog stick. I did want to demonstrate that this controller does have full analog capability, which is nice. But is it the easiest game to play with this? I don't think so. And again, I think possibly it'd be easier to play Gorf with an actual 5200 controller compared to this. But it does work. All right, Ms. Pac-Man. This game should control quite well with a controller like this. Oh yeah, I'm liking how it feels. Definitely. All right, so you know how Ms. Pac-Man plays. I'm not going to belabor it. Let's move on into the later part of the game. All right, yeah, I'm definitely getting the kind of accuracy that I want to have with this game. Yeah. All right. All right, I'm going to show you some footage of some other games that are just stellar with this controller. All right, I definitely need to show you Tempest. Wonderful game, Atari Age, and he makes it available to the public these days. Programmed by Keith and Hyenga. It's a game that was finished in 2012. It had been started in the 80s. So Atari had started it, Keith and Hyenga finished it. All right, so you pick your... So this you can tell you can move it slower, and then you can move it quick too. And of course, Super Zapper's available. You got the second button function, which is really nice on this controller to have that. You can definitely say a recentering controller like this has its advantages. You kind of want something that recenters for this game, unlike Gorf. And you have to be very, very minor movements can make you go slow around here and be more accurate. It takes some practice. So this is one of the analog only games that I would say works pretty well with the controller. But I will also add to that the best controller for this game is the Atari 5200 Trakball. And that particular controller is going to really enhance the gameplay on this above and beyond any controller that you would use. Pause button works. Super Zapper works. Wow. Okay. Another thing I want to mention, I got the monoprice cable in action here. And the Maker Matrix website sells these independently, or if you buy this, you can buy it with the cable. This particular cable, as you saw, I took it out. What are you going to do with it? Well, that's where this CX53 comes in. The 5200 Trakball Has a very short cord, I'd say just maybe a little over a yard. But if you notice, this actually can be plugged in, and it's a tight fit. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's ultra tight, but it's definitely pretty good, okay? And this will make your trackball cord an extra, I don't know, 3.5 feet longer. So that'd be definitely worth a try. Even if you buy it independently from their website, Maker Matrix sells this for $8.95 plus shipping. That's, I think, a pretty nice deal to extend your range on the trackball. All right, so a couple more games. I'm so used to playing racing games on my Xbox 360 or Xbox One, PlayStation consoles with the left thumbstick. This should come very naturally to me. So how are you going to change the gear? Well, press up on the stick normally does it. Oh, down on the stick is what it does it. It works. Then when you want to switch it over to low gear, you're going to press up on the stick. Then down to go back into high gear. And I'm not having trouble with it kicking into low and high gear when I don't want it to. So that's encouraging. It's definitely working great. Again, it's a controller. I'm going to put this into low gear and back into high. I feel like I'm racing on my Xbox One. Okay, not exactly. Stay in high gear. All right, third place. And then the race will begin with me in the third position. I'm going to go ahead and switch off to my final game, Beamrider. Beamrider, it's a tough game. Various controllers I've tried, some have been mediocre, some have been terrible. The 5200 stick itself works okay, but anyway, let's give that a try. I played this game the other night. I got my high score of a bit over 5,000 points. I think I made it into the 4th level. The neat thing about this game, when you press all the way, it'll just take you in a sweeping motion all the way across the screen, and then you let go, and you should stay where you let go at. And it does have a second button function. These missiles right here will be activated. One of them will be activated by pressing the second fire button. You only have a limited number of those. And I'll show you coming up here. I should be able to use it. Got it. Get these last two. Come on, guys. There we go. Cool. On to level 2. It's definitely given me great accuracy. I am liking it. So for some games, I'm going to definitely say the Maker Matrix controller is primo. This is one of them. Running out of ships here. Game over. No. All right. Yeah. 2,700. The other night it was 5,200, or yeah, it was about 5,200. I think it was approximately. So an appropriate number for a 5,200 game. All right, guys, so hopefully you enjoyed the episode. I definitely am touting the Maker Matrix controller as a win overall for the 5200. I would say of the games, 69 games were made for the 5200 back in the 80s, and of the 69, I would say probably about 64 are going to be fantastic. And if you include Tempest, well, that's 70 games. 65 games of the 70 would be fantastic. The only games you want to avoid it on are games that don't do well with recentering sticks, games that are analog only, such as Missile Command, Super Breakout, Gorf, and Kaboom. And there might be Star Wars the arcade game. So that's 5 games out of 70, not too bad. All right, so it's been nice sharing this with you. I'm glad you guys got a chance to take a look at the controller in action. And definitely, if you're interested in this controller, they have plenty of them. They're in the process of making more. So if they run out, they can always, give you an idea of how long the time frame is to prepare another one to be sold. So reach out to them. All right, so good talking to you guys. Have a great time playing your games. Take care.